Is Travis selling us the same shoe over and over again? What's up, sneaky people? It's your boy FB Kicks and Gear, and I am back with another ultimate legit check guide. This time, another installation in the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low Medium Olives. And with that said, let's actually get into the next installment in this legit check guide series. You see here we have the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low Medium Olive authentic pair here on the left and the replica pair here on the right. And this legit pair that I'm using right now is actually not the ones that I've been using in my previous videos. This is my second retail pair. Thank you, Kith. I decided to switch it up and use the other retail pair for this legit check guide just so that both of them have camera time, and it'll help us kind of round out our legit checking knowledge. So with that said, here on the right is the replica pair, and I tell you guys this in every video, you got to know what the reps look like too, no matter how good, no matter how bad. If you know what to expect and what's typical out of a replica, it makes it a lot easier to legit check when you're buying the real thing. So you will be able to find way more detailed pictures of the replica on the Instagram account that's going to pop up on the screen. I can't go into every detail, but you can. So use that Instagram account to hone in on those details. So with that said, let's crack into this legit check guide. And the first thing that we'll briefly talk about is the boxes. I've compared the boxes in previous videos. So if you want something more in depth, go to one of my previous videos to look for that. But more or less, they're using the reverse mocha, they're using the Travis Scott Jordan 1 Low Golf, that same kind of theme where you have this tan, white, off-whitish box with brown accents in your Nike Air and your swoosh on the top, and they more or less look the same. The replica box is bigger, and there's tonal differences between the cream, off-white, white of the authentic versus the rep. And here is what the box labels look like side by side. The replica on the right has some weight differences to the text. Pay attention specifically to the made in China text that's below the actual numbers. That is usually the easiest way to tell the difference between a rep tag and a authentic tag when you have them side by side. Look for the smallest text because that's the hardest for them to get right. But that's the box, so let's get rid of that and focus on the shoes. So here we have both shoes side by side, and I think that the easiest, most egregious thing to see when comparing them is that the nubuck on the rep compared to the authentic, completely different. The color is a lot darker, a lot more vibrant on the rep. It's definitely a longer haired, softer nubuck than on the authentic, which is shorter haired and a little bit ashy. Now, you guys will see the differences between authentic pairs, specifically my two authentic pairs when I do the real versus real comparison, but these are just different types of nubuck. And you can see that, you know, this is a much deeper green, and it also extends to the panel where the side panel might even be darker than on the toe box for the rep. So that's going to be kind of the first sign that I look at. Definitely way more vibrant. It's almost like the rep has a filter over it when compared to the authentic pair. Now, the other materials are the same for the most part. The white leather feels the same. The black leather feels the same. The reverse swooshes definitely feel the same, but that color difference is night and day. But while we're looking at the side here, you can see it's not just the materials that have a color difference. You can see that Cactus Jack difference, also night and day. Very vibrant on the replica on the bottom compared to the authentic on the top. I was not expecting that at all. Interesting. And when we look at the other shoes, same thing going on here. A much brighter, more vibrant red on the Cactus Jack for the rep, and a duller, darker, almost like a blood red on the authentic pair. That is super interesting. I wonder where the rep factory decided that this was the direction that they wanted to go in terms of color. Because if I'm looking at these, I'm saying, that's not right. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are variations of the authentic pair that are this green. And if you know about those, please comment down below so that you can fill our community in. But that's definitely not something that I have seen. And I would say if I came across these in the wild, my alarm would be raised. But outside of the material differences, I'm also seeing a little bit of a shape difference as well. Not huge, but the rep definitely feels bulkier, bigger, more of a larger shoe when compared to the authentic, specifically in the toe. Toe box looks a little bit thicker on the rep than compared to the authentic pair. You can see that the toe box overall is just a higher profile toe box. Going to the back, fairly similar from that perspective though, and the embroidery looks very, very close. I would even say that the embroidery color is identical. So it's pretty strange that they could get that right, but not the nubuck. But one thing that I am noticing, there's a color difference between the midsole of the authentic pair and the midsole of the rep. But one of the common themes that I've seen in white-based Travis Scott Jordan 1 lows, namely the reverse mochas, the original olives, and even the golfs, is that the white leather on the authentic pairs is always a much brighter white than compared to the reps, which are almost an off-white, almost like a very slight hint of warm gray to them. And the same goes for this as well. Side by side, there's just a slight tonal difference between the white leathers, and that is something that I have seen countless times comparing reps to authentic pairs. Looking at the outsole, close but a very slight difference. This is definitely more of a vibrant green on the rep on the bottom when compared to the authentic, which is a little bit more muted and dull. That midsole pattern is also a little bit different as well. Hone in, it's a lot more defined on the rep compared to the authentic. Looking at the other features like the tongue tag, I would say that the reds on the Nike Air for the rep is definitely a little bit more prominent, a little bit deeper of a red, with the authentic pair being a little bit lighter and more muted. And the Cactus Jack is a little bit different in color as well. The olive is a little bit more warm in color, and the backing, that white off-white backing, is a little bit darker than compared to the authentic pair. From there, let's take a look at the lace boxes. One of the things I have noticed when it comes to reps is that it's common that the boxes that they hold the laces in will not be the same. And obviously you can see there's a color difference, and the cardboard material is different. There's a difference in color between the pink laces as well. The pink on the authentic here is a little bit more muted and a little bit brighter, while the replica is a different kind of pink. It's definitely more vibrant and a little bit more loud. They're still wax kind of laces, but definitely different in color. Black laces are more or less the same, but the authentic definitely seems to be a little bit more faded of a black than compared to the rep. But biggest tell in my opinion is the lace boxes, completely different. If you have any shoes in your closet that come with lace boxes, compare them to a pair that you might find suspect, and you'll be able to tell whether or not the shoes are real based on that. And then from there, the final telltale sign that I like to go with is the insole. So I'll pull the insoles out of both of these and do a comparison. For those that don't know, there is a pretty simple test that you can do when you're looking at trying to authenticate a Travis Scott Jordan 1 low, and it really lies with the insole. And I've done this in many videos, and it's held true for every video that I've done, but the easiest way to do a legit check if you don't have an authentic pair on hand is to look at the Cactus Jack faces. And while they might look the same at first glance, when you look at the hair on an authentic pair, on an authentic insole, the hair is definitely it's a little bit thinner, it's a little bit more defined, it's a little bit more wiry than when you look at the rep, which is blocky. Look at where the shapes are concentrated, and you can see that there's definitely a definition difference between the authentic and the rep. The rep's hair is always more blotchy. The edges are always less defined. They're always rounder, if that makes sense. And you can look at previous videos that I've done. It always seems to be the case, and it's the case here as well. Take a look at this strand of hair compared to that strand of hair. Look at how much straighter and more defined it is on the authentic compared to how round and bulbous it is on the rep. Telltale sign, in my opinion, and it is my go-to when I'm legit checking Travis Scott Jordan 1 lows. Unfortunately, I believe the fragments are the only ones that don't come with this style insole, but every other one does, and this trick can be used across the board from there. And that pretty much wraps up the real versus fake comparison. I tend to not do black light tests on shoes that have this stark of a color difference. So if you want to see a black light test, take a look at my previous legit check guide on these shoes to see what they're supposed to look like under the black light. But outside of that, I think there are some pretty obvious differences between this authentic pair and this replica pair, which makes it pretty easy to legit check. So I think in this case, we're still pretty safe when it comes to buying authentic pairs. There are better reps out there for sure that might fool you, but I still think that we're in a good place in terms of legit checking. So with that said, guys, remember, you can find more pictures of the rep for your research on the Instagram account that's going to pop up on the screen. It's still very, very important that you know what the replica looks like. And there are things that I just can't dive that deeply into in a 15-16 minute video. So with that said, guys, that wraps up our comparison. And just to remind you guys, I will be opening up a Discord channel in the new year. It will be a place where we can get together. You guys can chat it up with each other, share legit check info, do legit checking live in the Discord, help each other out. That's the kind of community that I'm trying to foster in 2025. And this will be solo linked to me, not to larger groups. But hey, if you're in other groups and you want to share some of the stuff you find in this group, go for it. But I will make sure that I let everyone know when that launches. And yeah, guys, I will see you in the next one. Peace.